Hello everyone and welcome back to another Black Desert video. So today I want to talk about some essential life skill activities that you guys can do for silver and also for beginners who are just looking to start out and you want to make some good amounts of silver. I want to talk about some stuff that I actually do, and recently I made a video talking about like which life skills make the most silver, and I'll leave a link in the description to that one. But I just wanted to talk about that and like expand on that one and talk about what I actually do and show you guys maybe how you guys can start it as well. So with that said, as we all know, my favorite life skills in this game, or the ones that I do the most, are probably gathering, which is active, cooking because it is very profitable, and also processing because I've been playing this game for almost 10 years now, and you know, you just kind of gather materials and you got to process it. So anyway, with the new blue battlefield that also released, I wanted to talk about some stuff as well. Gonna be doing some updates on my older guides. I think my last one was like 5-6 years ago for sailing, and so we're going to talk about that as well. But with that said, let's just go down the list and talk about various life skills, which ones I do and which ones are the most profitable. So with that said, let's talk about this. So gathering is probably the life skill I would recommend to all beginners and most people just in general, because it's actually very calming and relaxing. Let's say you don't feel like grinding an hour or two and you're just like, I want to do something and still make silver. Gathering is that life skill. So there are multiple gathering tools, and as a new player, you're probably confused on like which one do I do. And so I'm just gonna quickly run down what they all do and like, you know, just a general idea. So let's break it down by which gathering tool you get if you want XP, a silver, you know, stuff that you can't really buy off the market. Some of them are kind of tedious as well, and just overall good stuff. So the lumbering axe, chances are if you are using this one, you're going to use it to make items for yourself, and it's not so much profit, but it's stuff that don't really sell on the market as well. And it's kind of like this combines with tanning knife, and you would probably be making like horse armor or boats and stuff, more or less. So those are just two examples. And so things you sell, it's not as much profit, but it's stuff that you'll probably need in the future that you can't really buy off the market as well. Tanning knife as well goes for like skinning leather, and all that stuff goes for guild buffs and the stuff that you put in your house, you know, those like furniture buffs and so on, right? That mixes with hunting. We'll talk about that later. If you want to go for silver, the ones I'd recommend are fluid collector and butcher knife. So it's like gathering meats, saps, herbs. Well, herbs is the other one, but like bloods, saps, and meats. So all of these connect in a way where you could either sell them to the market directly, it's pretty decent profit, or you could use it in cooking and alchemy, which is extending profits. And yeah, overall, I would say let's talk about it from if you were just selling the materials to the market directly without doing anything else with it. Probably fluid collecting is probably the best one, just because saps are generally used a lot more, and cooking is more specific to what you do. But either one is very good for silver, whether you're selling the stuff to the market directly or you're actually using it for profit. I think fluid collecting is, for saps more than bloods, more profitable, but either way, very good. Next thing we have is the Monos Hoe, which is gathering herbs and like flowers and stuff, right? So this one is probably the highest XP of all of them. Like if you're just trying to gather, level up your gathering level, then use the hoe, get like herbs and everything. And yeah, this is you know, more for alchemy and everything, which is good, but it's not like a beginner friendly one in a way. And then pickaxe is for gathering like rough stone and various rocks, minerals and everything. And it makes like cooking utensils, alchemy tools, like, so it's like 2 steps to do what you want. So yeah, pickaxe, kind of not so profitable, but it's used to make the tools to turn things into profit. if that makes sense. And then, yeah, so beginner tools, I'd recommend fluid collecting, butcher knife. If you're going for XP, mono's hoe, and then, you know, pickaxe if you're trying to level up other life skills, and then lumbering and tanning if you're just trying to do stuff for yourself. Like, let's say you're mostly just trying to get horse armors and whatnot. So horse armors, boats, so on, furnitures, that's what I would do. All right, so with that said, fishing. So fishing is one of those things where it got buffed about a year ago, and it's kind of solved at this point. And it's like, where do you fish if you want the most profits? So that answer is solved by how much mastery do you have and how active do you want to be fishing. So the golden rule, the number one general spot for people is probably the coast of Velia. So you know how when you see a lot of people over here, that means they're fishing there. This is the most consistent silver, not necessarily the most silver, but like, let's say you're just fishing 15 hours a day, you'll probably get more here consistently day by day than you would like fishing in the ocean or some like abundant spot. And I believe Tigris actually got a change recently within the past month, which is this island right here. And I believe the node manager got moved, which is actually good. So this was a very good spot. I still believe it's pretty decent, but you know, more people might be there. And then the other popular one is down by here, by the little like pier over here. And then there's a lot more spots, but those are, I would say, the three most common ones that people would go to. And yeah, generally fishing in the ocean, you find higher, more rare fish in general, but that's also in the ocean. You have to go there. And then turn-in basically is like, let's say you catch a bunch of fish overnight, you sell it through trade, and then that's where the profit comes in. So let's say you're fishing in Velia, what you're going to want to do is turn it in either at this spot, Dalbol, depending on, you know, like when you look at the exchange for your trades, you look at the green number. If it's higher green up to like 130, or I believe it's 130, that's good. And then red means you swap channels because you get less profits. So it's actually really easy. Green good, red bad. Or also this spot right here is also pretty good. Just trade in. So very good spots overall. And fishing, I have a video talking about how to get started with fishing, which fishing rods are good, whether you're a free to play, you got the pay to win rod, which artifacts and lightstones. I'll leave that in a separate video, just in the description if you care about fishing. It's about like at a couple hundred mil a night if you're new, or if you're, you know, you have more mastery, you have a lot of gear, you're making a couple billions overnight just by having your game on. So, hunting. This is actually something that I've been trying to get back into, and I made a video a couple days ago of practicing hunting. So, this character, there's two different kinds of hunting. There's sniper rifle hunting and matchlock. So, the difference is what kind of things you're able to hunt, and if you're going for like XP or more like different kind of like meats and stuff. So, this way is like, one is better for XP, the other one is more for silver, but I would say they're both pretty good. And most people will start off with matchlock because it's, you know, it's the one they give you in the tutorial if like you're a beginner and you're like, okay, what do I do? So if you're a beginner, what you're going to want to do is probably even at beginner 1, I have a video of this, how to get yourself up to like master or something. Go down here to the Narcion area, which is this node by Odraxia. And even at beginner 1, you could do this. It just will probably take you a little bit longer, but I've done it. And for normal hunting, it's very open field, very easy, not much to think about. And if you are doing sniper hunting, it's in the morning light, which is down here. So, you know, by Sangoon and Amugi, you'll see this icon right here for sniper hunting. This one's a little bit more for money, whereas the other one's for XP, but they're both very solid. And it gives you, it's like gathering with extra steps, but you know how like I talked about gathering and what you could do? Sniper hunting and matchlock is a more variety, like you just get a lot of materials, but it's less of a targeted one. But like, let's say you want 1,000 of something specific, you would gather it. If you want like 300 or 400 of like 5 different things, then you would do hunting. But either way, they're both kind of fun. You do them both. And yeah, so I've been practicing that one, and I have a video so you can see what sniper rifle hunting is all about. I also have another one for matchlock hunting. All right, so cooking. This is probably the most contested life skill. That's, I would argue, very profitable, but it's something that's like always changing because like someone finds a profitable thing to make, they make it. Once everyone else figures it out, it goes down in profit, right? So yeah, it's one of those things that's easy to start, but it's hard to master, and it's just a lot of knowledge overall. But one thing I'd recommend to all of you guys is doing your Imperial delivery. So there's an Imperial crafting person in every town. And I always talk about this, like you see this number right here? It's your contribution points divided by 2. You take guru boxes and then you turn them in. So actually, you know, for the sake of, I'll do this right now. I'll buy them just because I don't have any made. But like, here, let me just show you how this works. Start a timer. See, I'm spending 115 million, 116 million, and then put on all your life skill stuff. Make sure to get as much mastery on as you can. So this is actually what I do, and get all your boxes. Put that in here. You see how I made these? Combine it with the packing cord and blackstone powder. So how much I make is different from how much you guys are going to make because I have a different amount of contribution. Let me just show you how easy this is. So it is like a, 2-minute activity, and I'll show you how much we made. So just keep in mind, for the sake of, if you are just buying it off the market instead of making it, usually I make it 116, right? All right, let me put all the silver in there. So we have 0. All right, make sure your mastery is on as much as you can. And you could buff up for that, but for this, like, it's not really worth maxing out just to turn in Imperial delivery. You make the highest box you can, so we have all of this one, and then I would recommend trying to get to Guru as fast as possible, and then see how that was like a 2-minute activity. 296 minus 116, that's our profit, and for like a 2-minute activity, right? So yeah, I'd recommend doing that every day. And also cooking. Just find things you like doing. You learn more recipes over time. If you're just trying to power level cooking, things I would recommend making are probably pickled vegetables is, you know, a very easy one to make. You probably have a lot of grilled bird meat or chicken meat that you turn into grilled bird meat. This is used to feed workers and everything. I have almost 2 million, not because I think I'll need it, but it's just something you want to do to get yourself to Guru as fast as possible, as well as get your contribution points up by the byproducts. So yeah, that's actually a fun thing to do. And so if you just, once you get to Guru, then you start making the big expensive meals and everything. So like, things that I'd recommend are learning how to do all these meals. Mostly simple cron meal and the seafood. These are probably more important than exquisite. Exquisite is more for PvP, but this one's PvE, Lifeskills, PvP, so on. Not exclusively, but you could, it's mostly, that is. So these are profitable to make. Everyone uses them. Alchemy. Alchemy is just kind of like cooking, but different, you know, different recipes. So what you do with alchemy, let me show you. Back in the day, it's actually a lot easier nowadays to do alchemy than it was before, Because you see all this, like a new player sees all these blue potions and green potions, you're like, that's overwhelming. So you still have to do this more or less, but it's not as bad anymore because you can not mass this, but like you can pack it into like multiples. And so this is what I used to do. And then back in the day, we would actually have to use it. So like all this was my PvE rotation for all these elixirs. That's why they came out with the continuous care fairy thing, which is, very nice. So yeah, remember that one? Back in the day, we had to do all this manually, or not manually, but like have 19 different elixirs. Now we just have a harmony. So yeah, nowadays, just make harmonies, maybe some perfumes and all that stuff. And that's basically alchemy in a nutshell. So of the two, cooking is more profitable than alchemy. However, they are both very important. Another thing I'd recommend for alchemy, well, I guess it really just depends on the prices of everything. But you see all these things, the imperfect light stones. You could turn it into, where is it? So like you could turn it into the purifieds at, I believe it's Guru 1. And then you could either sell it or just try to get the expensive ones. Is it really worth doing the expensive, like alchemying it for this one? It just really depends on the price. But overall, in the state, no, it used to be, but not anymore. But that's an option. You can do that if you wanted to. I believe now it just breaks even, more or less. Processing is actually like low-key kind of good if you're just AFK. And people who've been playing this game for a long time, you probably have something in like all of your storages where you're just like, oh, I have about 2 million tree timbers or something. What should I do with it? You should AFK process it. I have been slowly working on this over time. I was at one point around 3 million, and then I just took a couple of days of processing all of this and then trying to sell it over time. And then, yeah, so it's still a big number, but the number isn't as big. So one of those things where processing is like when you're AFK, not actively playing, you just mass process things and then watch level number go up and then sell things over time. So TLDR, here's how you get started with processing as a beginner. Let's talk about this in basic numbers. Let's say this is your first 3 months playing the game. When you gather, you know how I was talking about like lumbering axe. Let's say you get these timbers, right? Okay, so you get, let's call these timbers tier 1 materials. You could process them into tier 2. They will give you planks. Let's call these planks tier 2. You process those into tier 3, which is plywood. You see how the value of all this goes up? The profit comes in from your level and mastery. Like you could proc 2 in 1. So let's say you require 5 planks to make 1 plywood. The higher your level, and maybe mastery is like you could proc 2 plywoods with 5. So that's where the profit comes in. But real big profit comes in from knowing what to do with these plywoods. Like what are you turning it into? Big materials, let's say like boats, horse gear as an example, and then that's where the billions of silver comes in of what you're selling it to. But for most people, just turning it into plywoods and selling it on the market, I think that's good enough for most people. But then if you want to expand on that one even further, you figure out like, what do I do with these plywoods, right? So yeah, same with ores, saps, and all of these things, materials. Once you figure out what to do with it, here's what I'd recommend doing. If you don't know and you're like, oh, I have all these materials, on PC, hit F2, adventure board will come out, or you can go to like various websites, Videolytics, Codex, and everything. Go to crafting notes, search the item you're looking for, and then let's say you're doing alchemy. What do you want to make? An elixir. All this literally tells you how to do it in game, or you could just go to another website and it tells you the same exact thing. So either way, yeah, that's how you do it. All right, so training. Admittedly, training is probably the life skill that I don't do the most, but it's also one of those things that's kind of profitable if you do it. So in a nutshell, training is like capturing a horse, leveling that horse up. If it gets good skills, you turn it into like a tier 9, tier 10, and then you can profit off of that. Or you can just sell them at tier 8 at Courser, which is like if you go to the horse stable keeper. Where is it? Is there a stable keeper? Yeah, okay, over here. So what you want to look at is kind of like, I guess the market, and then you can see the horse tiers. And let me just show you something. Like, okay, so you have a tier 8. Does it have... So if you see this golden icon, that means it's a Courser. You have to have 2 of them to breed them into a tier 9. So that's why these are kind of worth more than the other horses. And how you get them is by these skills over here. If you have all of them, it becomes a Courser. If you're missing a few of them, then obviously you lose money because it's not a Courser. But anyway, the ultimate goal is to turn them into dream horses and then sell them because that's big money. And admittedly, in 2025, the horses, unless they have very high rolled stats, it takes a while to sell. But what you could do is also Imperial delivery them, or like Imperial trade-in exchange. And basically that gives, you know, non-taxed money, but it's usually less. But it sells them instantly. But either way, what I'd recommend doing if you were going for the horse treasure item is tier 9s give you the most expensive one as like the highest percentage to get the thing. And yeah, you just do it over time. And then over time, you just learn like what horses are which tier. You just catch them and level them up, use all your buffs with them. So like all these auras and everything, they give mount XP. One thing I should talk about is training XP versus mount XP versus life skill XP. It's very confusing to new players. So over here, this is training XP, the one for your life skill level. This one and life skill XP are the same. Mount XP right here, you see how, or well, it's not on right now, but it was. Mount XP levels up your horse's XP over here, right? Okay, so just to make sure we're not confused, Mount XP is this number right here. Training XP is this number. It, yeah. So anyway, it's confusing to new players. Trading is a dead life skill. It used to be like you take an item from a certain town and then you sell it into another town. And there were like specific items that you would only be able to transport by wagon. And they removed that from the game a couple of years ago because they were like, we're going to improve it. And they never did. So anyway, what we have in place of that right now is trade crates. So what I have going is like, for example, I have timber tree crates going on. What you do with them is you exchange them by distance. Farther distance equals more profit. And so I have them running in 3 towns right now. So I have them in Altanova, Heidel, and Calpheon. Eventually, this is like one thing that you do like every 6 months to a year. You exchange them kind of like you would exchange your fish when you're fishing, and in a further area, and that means more profit. So also, instead of that, we also have royal workshops. It's not that bad. It's just one of those things you set it up and then you forget about it, and then you refresh the thing once a day. It gives you 1 free refresh. I would never recommend using pearls. And then sometimes you get the nice like foods that are expensive, and then just give you like, you know, nice things, whether you're a life skiller, you know, or a PvEer and stuff. It just gives you nice things every now and then. Farming. We currently have an event going on for farming XP. It's not really that important, but farming is one of those things. You set up your crops, and here you see this icon for your garden. Click it, and then you can have 10 plots, and then you can have 10 by 10s, or you could do magicals if you're lazy like me. And what I would do, if you were cooking or doing alchemy, you grow the herbs or like fruits, whatever you're making, to do your life skills because it helps you supply them. But if you're also going for various other things, what I do with them is when you like harvest your plants, you get a byproduct called blush leaves. Turn them into stuff. I usually do it for the contribution and farming XP just because I am trying to push up my contribution points. So I've been doing it that. But other than that, grow the stuff you need for your life skills, and then it'll help you not bottleneck out. So it's good. Selling and bartering is like playing a different game from everyone else. You know how people gear up for like PvE and PvP? If you're selling and bartering, your goal is to gear up your boat. So every boat has different gear. I could actually probably show you. This is one thing I want to actually update in the future, because not only is Blue Battlefield out, but also people are, you know, probably confused if you're new and you're just like, oh, I want to do this, but there's like 40 different steps to actually get the boat. The easiest way is to just buy it off the market these days. But here's the thing. All right, so you have a wharf. This is your boat. See how you have all these things? Your goal is to upgrade your gear to the best tier as possible, like this green gear and then this blue gear. Blue is currently best in slot. It's also very expensive. And then you upgrade it kind of like you would upgrade your normal gear. And then you get crystals, which is different stats for your boat. And then also you can manage your sailors, which is, you know, every sailor gives different stats. Like, for example, let's see, what's the best way to explain this? Speed, acceleration, turn, and brake. These are these 4 stats right here. However, they're called different things, but these are these stats over here. So why they called it different things, I have no idea. They should just be the same thing, because, you know, they should have this and then parentheses like endurance, speed, and then awareness, turn. You know, right? That just makes sense, but here we are. So anyway, you get your boat, then you get boat gear, then you get the sailors for your boat. Every sailor has different stats. Like, for example, this one has a mix of other ones, whereas this one has more, like at level 10, has, you know how like you hover over it, but I wish it was just, you know, right next to it, so you don't have one less thing you have to hover. Either way, they could have just called it the same thing. Yeah, so get the different sailors, level them up, and then it gives your boat different stats, and then all that other stuff. So, bartering, how does that come into play? See all these little icons right here? It goes from level 1 to 5, and then you have this barter icon, right? So you'll see level 1 to 2, this is what you do. 1 to 2, 2 to 3, so on. Or if you're going for like crow coins or everything, what I'd recommend is keeping 2 different storages. One for all your bartering materials, right? So you see how these are level 5s. Then the yellow is like level 4, blues are 3, and so on. So yeah, these are all for bartering. You exchange different tiers to the higher levels. And another one, if you're just trying to craft your boat for the first time, I'd recommend keeping them in different storages, because it's a lot, especially for non pay to win players. So Portaferia, I'd recommend sorting this one by boat parts to upgrade, because this is out of the way. And Ilia Island is probably going to be your main hub for bartering, because just all the nodes are around it. But Portaferia, if you're doing boat upgrades, there's a lot of stuff that you have to learn how to do. And so yeah, bartering, let's say if you want to refresh it, you could do ship materials to like upgrade your boat, or trade item barters for like these things. So over time, you figure out what you want to do with it. And then, yeah, like honestly, bartering is just kind of playing a different game, and you're gearing up but for your boat, and it's kind of fun. It's actually really relaxing. And yeah, hopefully if all of you out there doing Blue Battlefield, let me know, because I kind of want to merc into a new guild and actually do it, and so I can make a video for you guys as well. But either way, This is what I have, Valor. I made this for PvP back in the day, and here we are. I'm excited. I just have to upgrade all this and, you know, all this stuff. But yeah, selling and bartering, it's actually one of those very chill things. Like, let's say you don't feel like grinding, you just want to do something else, and then try sailing. It's kind of fun, actually. But with that said, those are all the life skills that are currently out. And TLDR, if you're a new player and you want to make silver and everything, I'd recommend fishing, gathering. Cooking is, you know, it's something you should probably learn early on. Hunting is actually a lot of silver, but you got to learn how to do it because it just takes time to practice. And then aside from that, processing all your materials, selling it, doing everything else, pretty easy. But yeah, that's about it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Peace.